In this video, I'm gonna be ranking my personal favorite villains from the Shrek franchise. Across the four main films, we get four standout villains: Lord Farquaad from the first movie, the Fairy Godmother from the second, Prince Charming from the third, and Rumpelstiltskin from the fourth. Each one of them brings something different to the table, but for me, some clearly stand out more than others. At number 1, without a doubt, is the Fairy Godmother.
I told you, ogres don't live happily ever after!
To me, she's the best villain the Shrek movies ever gave us. What makes her so great is that she's a complete twist on what people usually expect from a fairy tale. Normally, a fairy godmother is the one who shows up to help the hero or grant wishes, but here, she's the one pulling the strings for her own selfish reasons. She's manipulative, clever, and ruthless. Her main goal is to make sure her son Prince Charming becomes king. And to get there, she'll stop at nothing. That means brewing up potions to make Fiona fall in love with Charming, trying to convince Shrek that he doesn't deserve a happy ending because he's an ogre, and threatening anyone who gets in her way. Despite all the scheming and manipulation, she's still incredibly entertaining to watch. I mean, who can forget that big dramatic moment at the end when she belts out "I need a hero" while everything is going down? It's one of the most memorable scenes in the whole series, and it shows just how much fun she is as a villain. Coming in second is Lord Farquaad.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
He might not be as flashy or over the top as the Fairy Godmother, but he's still one of the most memorable villains from the franchise. He sets the tone right from the very beginning of the series. He tries to come across as this big intimidating ruler, but the truth is, he's really insecure and overcompensates for his small stature.
That must be Lord Farquaad's castle.
That's the place.
Do you think maybe he's compensating for something?
Instead of getting his hands dirty, he sends others to do all the hard work for him. His whole plan revolves around marrying Princess Fiona so he can finally call himself king and take full control. And let's be real, if he ever had the chance, he'd probably wipe out every fairy tale creature he could, since he was already hunting them down and banishing them at the start of the movie. What makes Farquaad interesting is that he's both funny and threatening at the same time. His insecurity drives him to be controlling and ruthless, but the way he carries himself makes him stand out as one of DreamWorks' most recognizable villains. Coming in third place is Rumpelstiltskin.
I wish that ogre was never born.
At one point, I was thinking about putting him in second, but I think third is a good spot for him. He's actually a pretty solid villain, even though some people find him kind of annoying. And I get it, his personality can be over the top and irritating at times. But if you look beyond it, you realize he's actually one of the most evil villains in the whole series. Like Lord Farquaad, Rumpel doesn't like to get his hands dirty. Instead, he lets other people do the heavy lifting while he stays in the background pulling the strings. He's not a fighter by any means, but his true power comes from his clever manipulation. His entire strategy is tricking people into signing contracts that ruin their lives. On the surface, he makes the deals sound fair, but in reality, everything works out in his favor and leaves the other person worse off than before. What makes him especially dangerous is how close he came to beating Shrek. With just one signature, Rumpel completely tore Shrek's life apart. For a while, it actually looked like he had won. Out of all the villains in the series, he came the closest to pulling off his plan, and that makes him a real threat despite not being physically intimidating. In fourth place, we have Prince Charming.
I am the rightful king of far, far away. And I promise you this, Mother. I will restore dignity to my throne.
Out of all the villains in the Shrek franchise, he's definitely the weakest one. He's not completely useless, but compared to the others, he just doesn't have the same impact. Prince Charming is the fairy godmother's spoiled son, and his whole motivation comes from two things: Fiona rejecting him and the death of his mother. After that, he sets his sights on revenge and wants to finish what his mom started. The problem is, he doesn't have any of the qualities that made her such a great villain. She had charisma, brains, and presence, while he comes across as whiny and entitled. He tries to take control by rallying other fairy tale villains to his side, but the truth is, they don't really respect him. They follow along because he talks a big game, but deep down, they know he doesn't have what it takes to actually lead. His whole reason for wanting to kill Shrek is just because Fiona chose Shrek over him, which honestly feels childish and petty. He wants power, but he doesn't have the brains, strength, or respect to make it happen. In the end, all of his plans fail, and he even dies trying. Compared to the other villains, he feels more like a spoiled brat throwing a tantrum than a real threat. So that's my full ranking of the villains from the Shrek franchise. These are just my personal picks and how I see them, but of course, everyone has their own favorites.